All right, let's dive into another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a case that has a lot of people talking. It involves, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, husband of Sunny Hostin from The View.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some serious accusations of insurance fraud flying around. We're going to be pulling our info today from excerpts from an Entertainment Weekly article that really broke this whole thing down.
Interesting.
And, Sunny, she's well known as a legal expert, a TV personality.
Right.
So this whole thing, it's gotten really interesting, especially because it's hitting close to home for somebody whose life is so public,
Yeah, it really kind of highlights the fact that this could happen to anyone, really.
Right, exactly.
This intersection of personal life and this legal battle, and it's something that could really affect, a lot of us. And insurance, everybody deals with it.
Absolutely. So let's unpack this lawsuit a little bit. Dr. Hostin is a very well-respected orthopedic surgeon in New York City, and he's being accused of insurance fraud. And he's not alone in this.
No, he's not.
Almost 200 other medical professionals are named in the suit as well.
Yeah, and the lawsuit itself was brought by American Transit, an insurance company.
Okay.
That works mostly with rideshare and taxi drivers.
Oh, interesting.
And they're alleging that there's been a pattern of fraudulent medical services. Specifically, there's been a lot of arthroscopic surgeries that they're saying were fraudulent.
I see. And it gets even more complicated, though, because the lawsuit's claiming that Dr. Hostin was receiving kickbacks for these allegedly fraudulent services, disguised as dividends or cash distributions. It's like...
That's where things get really interesting,
Yeah.
And, this is where American Transit's pointing at New York's no-fault law as being a potential factor.
Okay, so for those of us who maybe aren't familiar with no-fault, can you kind of break that down a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So no-fault is designed to make insurance payouts after accident-related injuries happen quicker.
Okay.
Regardless of who was at fault in the accident.
Oh, okay.
So, you're an offender bender, you're entitled to, up to $50,000 in coverage for medical bills, lost wages, things like that.
Oh, wow.
The idea is to simplify the process and get people the help they need quicker.
So it sounds like a good thing on the surface, but American Transit is saying there's like a downside to this, right?
Yeah, so their argument is that these big payouts, they're saying that it's creating a situation where some medical providers might be tempted to over-diagnose or over-treat.
Right.
And ultimately overbill
the insurance company.
So
they're basically saying that the law itself is creating an opportunity for this kind of fraud to happen.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But Dr. Hostin's attorney has issued a pretty strong denial of all the allegations. Yeah. And he's calling the lawsuit a tactic to intimidate doctors and limit health care benefits for people who depend on American Transit.
So he's basically saying that they're trying to scare doctors into providing less care so they can save money.
Essentially, yeah. And he's also really emphasized Dr. Hostin's excellent reputation in the medical community.
Okay.
And suggesting that, this lawsuit is unfounded and it could really damage his career.
Now, we can't forget about the personal side to this.
Right.
This isn't just some abstract legal case. This is involving Sunny Hostin, who's very open about her family on The View.
Yeah.
And her and Manny, they've been married a long time. They have 2 kids together.
It's a layer to the story that makes it even more compelling, for sure.
Imagine, the pressure and stress that this must be putting on their family.
Oh, absolutely. And considering Sunny's background as a legal analyst, it adds another dimension to the way that she might be processing this whole thing.
It really makes you think about the ripple effects of something like this, extending beyond the courtroom into the personal lives.
Yeah, and it raises questions about how this case might actually impact public perception, not only of Dr. Hostin, but also of no-fault laws themselves.
That's a great point. If American Transit wins this, could this have broader implications for these types of laws in other states?
It's possible. This case could set a precedent that really challenges the way we think about balancing quick access to medical care with preventing fraud and abuse in the system.
This whole situation just has so many angles to consider. What stands out to you as being particularly important in all of this?
I think, for me, it's the potential impact that this could have on the public's trust in both the medical and insurance industries. If these allegations turn out to be true, it could erode people's confidence in these systems.
That's a huge issue. We rely on these systems to be fair and ethical.
Right.
And if that trust is broken, it's really difficult to rebuild that.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder about what kind of safeguards could be put in place to prevent this type of fraud, but at the same time, making sure that people who have legitimate injuries still get the care that they need.
Finding that balance is going to be crucial, especially as this case unfolds and potentially, influences legal decisions and policies down the line.
Yeah, it's a really complex issue with far-reaching consequences, and it's a story that I think we're going to have to follow closely as it develops.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems like American Transit is really trying to, make a statement with this lawsuit going after not just one doctor, but a whole group of medical professionals.
Yeah, they're definitely taking a broad approach here, and it really does suggest that they see this as like a systemic issue.
Right.
Not just, a few isolated incidents.
Yeah.
And their focus on New York's no-fault law is very telling.
So what are they hoping to achieve by, going after the law itself?
I think, they believe that the law, while it's meant to help people, it might be creating some vulnerabilities that lead to exploitation.
Right.
That promise of a significant payout without having proved fault. It could be incentivizing some to, take advantage of the system. Yeah. It's a complex argument.
Right.
And the courts are going to have to decide whether it holds water.
What I find so fascinating is the potential ripple effect of this.
Right.
If American Transit wins, could this case influence other states to reconsider their own no-fault laws?
It's definitely a possibility. This case could end up sparking, a nationwide debate.
Wow.
About how we balance the need to provide quick and fair compensation for accident victims with the need to protect against fraud and abuse. It raises questions about, the very structure of these laws and their potential for unintended consequences.
It really makes me think about just the challenges of designing any system, even those with the best intentions.
Sure.
There's always a risk of unforeseen loopholes, vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it's a constant balancing act. And in this case, it's about finding that sweet spot, where we can ensure that people get the care they need after an accident. But, without opening the door for potential abuse of the system.
It's a real ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you want to protect those vulnerable people who've been injured, but on the other hand, you don't want to create a system that's easily manipulated for financial gain.
Exactly. And this case really highlights the complexity of that dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
It forces us to confront some uncomfortable questions about trust and accountability and the potential for human greed, really, to undermine well-intentioned systems.
If we zoom out a bit, this case goes beyond just Dr. Hostin and American Transit.
It does.
It touches on these broader societal issues.
Absolutely.
Like the rising cost of healthcare, the complexities of insurance, and the delicate balance between providing access to care and preventing fraud.
It's a microcosm of those, larger challenges, and it's playing out on a very public stage.
Right.
With someone as well known as Sunny Hostin.
Right.
It's a reminder that these issues can touch anyone's life, regardless of their status or profession.
Yeah, let's not lose sight of the human element here.
Right.
Regardless of the legal outcome, this is undoubtedly a difficult situation for the Hostin family.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that even those in the public eye are not immune to these personal challenges.
It's important to acknowledge that for sure.
Yeah.
While we're, analyzing the legal and systemic aspects of this case, we should also remember that there are real people at the center of it facing real-life consequences.
It's that blend of personal drama and these broader societal implications that really makes this case so captivating.
Absolutely, and it's a story that is still unfolding.
It is.
And as we delve deeper into this, it's essential to consider all the multiple perspectives involved.
Absolutely.
What are the arguments from each side? What evidence might be presented in court? And what are the potential ramifications for everyone involved?
It's like peeling back an onion, revealing more and more complexity with each layer.
Right.
We've got the legal battle itself, the potential financial implications, the impact on Sunny Hostin's public image, and then these broader questions about insurance fraud and the effectiveness of no-fault laws.
A lot.
It's a lot to unpack.
And that's what we aim to do, right?
Yeah.
Provide you with the context and insights to really understand this complex situation and form your own informed opinions.
Absolutely. We're not here to pass judgment, but to encourage thoughtful discussion and exploration of the various facets of this case. It's about going beyond the headlines and diving deeper into those nuances and complexities that often get overlooked.
Exactly. And as this story continues to develop, we'll be here to guide you through all those twists and turns, providing the context and analysis that you need to stay informed.
Absolutely.
And engaged.
So, what does all this mean for you, the listener? Why should you care about this case, even if you're, not directly affected by no-fault laws or insurance fraud?
Well, for starters, it's a reminder that we all participate in these really complex systems.
Yeah.
Legal, financial, medical. And understanding how those systems work and where those vulnerabilities lie is really crucial. This case offers, a glimpse into those inner workings and how they can impact individuals and society as a whole.
It's interesting to me how much attention this whole case has gotten, considering it's still in these really early stages. Do you think that has to do with Sunny Hostin's, her public profile?
I mean, it's got to be a factor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when someone who's, so in the public eye is involved, it just naturally draws more media coverage and more, public scrutiny. But this case also, touches on issues that resonate with a lot of people. Healthcare costs, insurance practices, and the potential for, fraud. In these systems that we rely on.
It feels like a story that could so easily get caught up in speculation and, assumptions.
Yeah. It's really important to remember that we're dealing with allegations right now.
Right.
Not proven facts. The legal process needs to play out.
Right.
And everyone involved deserves, a fair hearing.
That's such a crucial point. Public perception can be so powerful, especially in the age of social media where information spreads so rapidly.
Yeah, and it can be tough to separate the person from the allegations.
Right.
Sunny Hostin has built a career on her legal expertise and credibility.
Right.
And, this case could potentially impact how people view her, regardless of what the outcome is.
It raises those questions about, the court of public opinion versus the actual court of law.
Exactly, and it highlights the importance of due process.
Yeah.
And allowing the legal proceedings to just unfold without rushing to judgment.
This whole situation has really made me think about, the complexities of the legal system and just how easily things can be misconstrued or taken out of context.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crucial to remember that, public perception can be swayed so easily by headlines and these, initial reports, especially when someone as well-known as Sunny Hostin is involved.
Right.
But you got to remember, legal proceedings, they take time. And due process is essential.
Absolutely. We need to separate those allegations from the individual and allow the legal process to unfold before we form any, definitive opinions.
Right, exactly. This case is a reminder that accusations are not convictions.
Right.
And it's also a chance for all of us to really reflect on our own biases and how they might influence our understanding of these, complex legal situations.
So much of this comes down to trust, right?
Yeah.
Trust in the medical profession, trust in the insurance industry, and then trust in the legal system to ultimately deliver a fair and just outcome.
I think trust is really the foundation of any, functioning society. And when that trust is eroded, whether it's through, perceived or actual wrongdoings, it can have really, really far-reaching consequences.
It's a reminder to be discerning consumers of information.
Absolutely.
We need to look beyond the headlines and consider those multiple perspectives and resist the urge to just, jump to conclusions.
Well said. This case, while it is focused on these, specific individuals and allegations, it does serve as a microcosm for larger issues. It compels us to examine these systems that we rely on, question their vulnerabilities, and consider how we can work together to create a more just and equitable future.
It seems like there's a lot of unknowns still surrounding this case. What are some key things that you're going to be watching for as this situation unfolds?
Well, I'm really interested to see, what evidence is presented from both sides, how the arguments evolve.
Yeah.
And whether, any precedents are set that could impact future cases.
Right.
Or even, legislation.
And And of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on how all of this affects, Sunny Hostin's career and public image.
Of course.
It's a reminder that even in a world that's so focused on like instant news and instant opinions,
right?
Legal matters take time to resolve.
Patience is key, right? Yeah. This case is likely to have twists and turns.
Oh, yeah.
And it's important, to stay informed, but without getting caught up in speculation or premature judgments.
This deep dive has definitely given us all a lot to think about.
A lot, yeah.
We've, explored the legal complexities, the potential implications for healthcare and insurance industries, and really the human element at the heart of it all.
It's a case that touches on so many different facets of our society.
It does.
And raises all these questions about trust and accountability and how to find that balance, between protecting individuals and ensuring fairness in these complex systems.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this unfolding story, we're going to leave you with a final thought. Stay informed, stay curious, and stay engaged.
Yeah.
The pursuit of understanding is an ongoing journey, and it's one that we're all on together.
And remember, even amidst the complexities and the uncertainties, there's always that opportunity to learn and grow and contribute to a more informed and compassionate world.